Well, welcome to 4 Stories, and welcome to 4 Stories, the 2010 launch, and additionally the launch of Post Road 18, which will be available next week. Tonight's theme, Family Feuds, Stories of Troubled Tribes and Bizarre Bonds, celebrating the launch of the 4 Stories Boston 2010 series and Post Road's 18th issue. Reading tonight, all contributors from Post Road, Nicole Fox, Betsy Gonzalez, Natasha Lavaltria, and Tom Parada.
Each night, after cleaning the laboratory, I scoured the shelves for lives. The cases spanned from floor to ceiling and had a sliding ladder attached to them, just like in a library I had visited once. Each shelf held dozens of specimens stored in special containers and kept warm with light. The containers were marked with a series of letters and numbers that corresponded to the catalog labeled in the clinic's log. The number of specimens I viewed depended on the amount of time I could hold my breath. For each minute I went without oxygen, I granted myself a zygote.
In Centralia, the unthinkable had happened. The fire had gone underground, ignited a coal seam that probably runs from here to Jim Thorpe. The government has spent millions trying to put it out, and even more trying to convince the residents to move. But despite the fact that their town is now full of hotspots where plumes of sulfuric acid steam out of the ground, some people see no reason to leave. At night, the hotspots glow like so many dying campfires as far as the eye can see. It's rumored that kids come out to roast weenies over the vents.
Everybody around us is leaving, and one day I hear Mama crying out into the phone, "Vesemir, Vesemir," as she hears the news about her parents who tried to board one of the last trains out of Leningrad at the verge of a siege. While my grandfather squeezed himself in the overcrowded car, the train unexpectedly moved from the station, leaving my grandmother out, standing on the platform. The evacuation was so chaotic that nobody knew where the train was headed. Grandfather left with their belongings and with grandmother's precious denture that he had put in the safest place he could think of, his pocket.
"Isn't he home?" I tried to sound casual, but I could feel my blood reverse itself, rushing into my face as though I were doing a headstand. Paul gave me a disgusted look and shifted into gear. I wondered vaguely if I was being kidnapped. "It's not the money that bugs me," he said. "It's really not. But if he needed it, why didn't he just ask?" I didn't answer. How could I explain that Kevin didn't need the money? That we were just having fun? "Tell me the truth," Paul said. "Is he doing drugs?" I shook my head. It gradually became clear to me that I wasn't being kidnapped. We were just orbiting the streets of town, cruising up one and down another. I began to relax and enjoy the ride. My first ever in a tow truck.